All right, welcome back. Today we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of a job that, let's be honest, you probably don't think about much until you really, really need it. We are going inside the mind of a clinician to figure out how they create one of the most important documents in a person's life. Yup, we are digging into the textbook Assessment in Speech-Language Pathology, a resource manual, specifically Chapter 14, the Diagnostic Report and Financial Essentials. And look, I know paperwork sounds boring, but this stuff is the absolute secret sauce. It's how an hour of testing gets turned into a roadmap that can genuinely change someone's future. So, let's get into it. I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. A therapist sits down with someone. A kid who can't get his words out, a grandfather recovering from a stroke, a little toddler who struggles with eating. They do their tests, they take their notes, they use their gut. How in the world does all of that get translated into a single, coherent document? And why does that one piece of paper matter so much? Here's why. Because it is so much more than just paperwork. This isn't for some dusty filing cabinet. This report is everything. It is the literal blueprint for treatment. It's the story of a person at a critical moment in their life. And honestly, it's the clinician's professional fingerprint. It shows who's good at their job and who isn't. You get this wrong, and you can send a person down a completely wrong path. So basically, this one document has three massive jobs. Number one, it guides the therapy. It's the what we do next plan. Number two, it gets the whole team on the same page, the doctor, the teacher, you name it. And number three, all these reports, when you put them together, become invaluable data for research that could help millions. That's a lot of weight for a few pieces of paper, isn't it? Okay, to really get a feel for this, we're not just going to talk theory. We're going to go full-on detective mode. We're going to follow the paper trail and watch how a real report is built from the ground up, piece by piece. Every section is another clue in the case file. And here it is. This is our roadmap. Pretty much any report you see is going to have these 5 big sections. It's a logical flow, right? You start with what's the problem, and you end with here's what we're going to do about it. So let's jump into that first step and see how it all kicks off. Now check this out. The first thing you noticed is that this section isn't written in a bunch of clinical jargon. It's raw. It's human. You can just feel the mother's stress talking about her daughter, Sierra. She runs to hide or whines and squirms. Using these direct quotes immediately puts you in the room. It sets the stakes. This isn't just a clinical feeding issue. This is a family's everyday battle.
All right, next up, the backstory. This is where the clinician starts gathering all the puzzle pieces. Take Mrs. Hickman's case here. You've got a specific event, the fall. You've got a hard diagnosis from the MRI, an infarct, which is just a technical way of saying part of the brain tissue died from a lack of oxygen, kind of like a stroke. And it's in Broca's area, which is like the speech headquarters of the brain. You put that all together with what her son says, and bam, you have crucial context for everything else.
Okay, now we get to the real investigation, the evaluation. You can think of this as the raw data dump. It is all the test scores, all the measurements, all the objective facts. There's no interpretation here, no opinions. It's just laying out the evidence, cold and hard. And this right here is a perfect example of what that data dump looks like. I mean, look at these scores for a kid named George. You got raw scores, standard scores, percentile ranks. Let's be real. Unless you're a specialist, this is basically a foreign language, right? What on earth does a standard score of 42 even mean? It's just a wall of numbers. And that is why this report is so important. It translates the gibberish. That standard score of 42, well, the average is 100, so he is way, way off. That percentile rank of less than 1, that means if you lined up 100 kids his age, literally 99 of them would be ahead of him. The brutal takeaway is simple. George is struggling big time. So we've got the problem, we've got the history, we've got the data. Now what? Well, this is where the magic happens. This is where the clinician stops being a data collector and puts on their detective hat. This is the real art of the job. This section, clinical impressions, is the absolute heart of the report. It's the part that answers the big question, so what? What does all of this data actually mean? It's where years of training, experience, and frankly, intuition come together to paint a picture of a whole person, not just a list of scores. Just read this quote about a 12-year-old named Ben. The test scores scream severe impairment. But, and this is a huge but, the clinician observes something. With visual cues, Ben did way better. Boom! That's not just a diagnosis, that's an insight. That little observation is the key that could unlock everything for him. That's the difference between a dead-end label and a real plan. Now, just when you think you've got it figured out, there's a curveball. A report isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. You absolutely have to know your audience. A report you write for a doctor is going to look totally different from one you write for a school. You got to change it up depending on who's reading it and why. I mean, just look at the difference. In a hospital, you're writing for other doctors. They're busy, they want the bottom line, and they want it fast. So it's short, maybe a couple of pages. In a school, though, it's a whole different animal. You're writing for a team of teachers, parents, and admins. You're often using federally mandated forms to create something called an IEP, an individualized education plan. It's the same kid, but two completely different worlds of paperwork with totally different rules. In those medical settings, you will live and die by the SOAP note. It's just brilliant. SOAP. Subjective, what the patient says. Objective, the hard data. Assessment, what you, the clinician, think it all means. And plan, what you're going to do next. It's so clean, so efficient, it just works. Okay, so you did it. You wrote the perfect report. The story is clear, the insights are brilliant, the plan is solid. But wait, you're not done. You've now reached the final boss level, the bureaucratic maze of laws and billing codes that makes sure you actually get paid for all that hard work. First up, the big one we've all heard of, HIPAA. We've all signed the forms, but here's the deal in plain English. Don't share your client's private health info, period. Every note, every file, every single email has to be locked down and secure. You mess this up, you're in a world of trouble. It's the absolute foundation of patient trust. Next, you gotta speak the language of the insurance companies, and that means codes. Think of them like hashtags for billing. The ICD-10 code is the what's wrong code. It tells the system what the diagnosis is. So instead of writing out aphasia, you just pop in R47.01. It's a universal language. But just knowing what's wrong isn't enough. The insurance company wants to know, okay, great, but what did you do about it? And that's where CPT codes come in. This is the what you did code. So you use an ICD code to say the problem is a fluency disorder, and then you use a CPT code to say you performed an evaluation for it. Problem plus service. That's the magic combo that gets the bills paid. So, wow. After all that, the human stories, the hard data, the detective work, the alphabet soup of codes and regulations, what's the real point? Let's bring it all home and talk about what this whole thing is really for. Because at the end of the day, a great report is so much more than just a piece of paper. It's not just scores and billing codes. It is the story of a human being at a crossroads in their life. It's a detailed blueprint for how they can move forward. And it's a testament to the skill and the care of the professional who took the time to get it right. And I guess that leaves us with this one last thought. In a world that is just obsessed with data, with algorithms, with AI, with just numbers, what's the value of a person who can look at all of that and still find the human story buried inside? The professional who can translate the numbers back into a person. If you ask me, that's worth everything.